Hey everybody, this is Solomon Knight here, and I am about to show you guys a little short story on Prudence. There once was a young king who recently gained the throne after the passing of his father. The kingdom he inherited was flowing with milk and honey, so naturally the young king was unsure if he could continue with the prosperity. With his monumentous crown getting to him, the young king left on a weekend for a solo trek to where his ancestors went to worship. He stripped his royal garments in favor of common travel clothes and set off. About halfway up the mountain on his journey, the young king came across an old man in worn garbs and a tattered hat sitting on a rock. "Excuse me, sir," the young king asked. "Is everything all right up here?" The old man slid his body around and exposed his worn garbs to the king and cordially responded, "I am just an elderly man on a journey, similar to yourself." The old man then pointed to his broken cane. "However, my staff broke, and thus this is as far as I can go." Seeing that the old man looked exhausted, the king felt a stir inside himself to reach out his own hand to the old man. "Would you like some help up the mountain?" the king sheepishly asked, still unsure as to why he should help the old man. "No," the young king told himself. "You're going to help this man because he's a helpless man in your kingdom." After helping the man up, the pair started to walk up the steep trail to the summit. "I can see why you brought a walking stick," the young man quipped to deal with the bizarre sensation in his inner being. "Yeah, someone with my old bones would have a hard time getting up this hill," the old man gave a mellow chuckle. "Wouldn't not have made it if a young whippersnapper like yourself hadn't poked their head up this way." The old man's tone shifted to that of an old friend, puzzled on a new course of action. "I have told you why I am here, but that didn't explain as to why you would have come to such an ancient place." Feeling the sensation of genuine curiosity in the old man's words, the king candidly responded, "This mountain is sacred to my people, and I wanted to see if I can learn about the wisdom of old. This trail seems to go on forever," he chimed in. "It can feel like it," the old man responded. "That still doesn't give a why as to your need for wisdom right now." "I guess," the king struggled to find the words appropriate, "well, I recently came into a position of great wealth and power, and I wanted to be prudent with my newfound powers." "Hmm," the old man quizzes. "So you came here to be alone to think about what you should do with your inheritance?" "You can say that," the king gave with some relief. "Now tell me," the old man asked, "you have all the power and wealth in the world, and you don't know what to do with it. You are tall, you seem to have more riches than the night sky has stars. Most men in your position would use it on lavish parties and all the women he could dream of." "I could," said the king, with dejection in his voice. "But my father was a king beloved by people, and doing that would destroy the family dynasty before it actually got started." "So you want to honor your father," the old man said. "I want the prudence to serve my people and lead others to an even better existence because it is the right thing to do," the king said firmly. "Wise decision," the old man said with his eyes glowing. "Let's put your heart to the test." With a flash, the king awoke in his own bed. With his heart racing and his mind pounding, he starts to question, was it all a dream? As he's not only in his bed, but he was still in his nightclothes with his hiking gear pressed and unused in his bedroom corner. "What?" the king muttered to himself in utter confusion. A sharp rap then hit his door. Your Majesty," his assistant says from the other side of the door. The trial starts in less than an hour and you're still in bed. I will be at the court in 20 minutes. The king shooed away his assistant. Upon hearing the announcement, the king reached for his bedside calendar to look at the date. That's when he realized it was already that Monday morning. Curses, he muttered to himself as he threw himself at the wardrobe. Where did the weekend go? His mind starts to race. Did I dream of all of it? With his mind dwelling on what he had done with his weekend, the king made it to the courthouse with a few minutes to spare. From what he can gather, his assistants listened to him when he dismissed them that Friday night. It still bothered him that he has 2 days that he has no account for. But he understood that right now he needed to be the judge that his kingdom needed. All rise for his majesty, the courtier announced. The audience rose to greet the king. Please sit, the king commanded. We are here for a trial. After the audience sat down, the king swore he saw a man in old clothes wink at him from the crowd. The case that shall be decided is a kidnapping trial. The widow, Miss Ramilda Babowski, is accusing the widow, Miss Moropi Rakowski, of kidnapping her child, the courtier announced. The only evidence that each woman can produce is a picture of the newborn child. The woman deliberated as the king started to muse to himself on the peculiarity of the pretrial. Despite not knowing the women or their histories or anything about them, the king racked his brain for solutions to the case. He had 2 choices, and either one could potentially leave a mother without a child. That's when a third solution to determine the mother came to mind. Cut the child in 2, the king said sternly, and deliver each half to the mothers. The court gasped at the horror at the thought. Meanwhile, a particular old man just smiled to himself at the back of the court. Please, your majesty, Miss Rakowski pleaded in tears in her eyes. Drop the case and drop all charges. I will take the false reporting crimes if it means the child lives. Do not cut the child just yet, the king said with a smirk. His gamble had paid off, for he knows the correct answer. Hand Miss Rakowski her child and ring Miss Bukowski up on kidnapping charges, leaving the entire courtroom stunned on the events that transpired. The story that was told was based off the biblical story of King Solomon, and it shows a great deal on the virtue of prudence. To define prudence, as always, let's turn to the dictionary. From Merriam-Webster, prudence is 1. The ability to govern and discipline yourself by use of reason. 2. Skill and good judgment in the use of resources. And 3. Caution of circumspection as to danger or risk. I would like to also tack on the Aristotelian definition of prudence, which is just practical wisdom that one gains from using right reason in accordance with reality. Anyone with right reason can see the need for the virtue of prudence and how the lack of people cultivating the virtue has drastically started to impact society. The term instant gratification has come to be since prudence is lacking. Capitalism has done wonders, but every system has its flaws. Unfortunately, one of the flaws that capitalism has no interest in stopping is the brashness that the modern world has fostered. The good news is that we do not have to abandon the greatest economic system that humans have came up with. To grow a sense of prudence, one must observe what is true and work around what is reality. I'm going to end with a quote from Jurassic Park that shows the relationship between prudence and liberty.
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
This is Solomon Knight signing off. Hello there. This is Solomon Knight, and I take it you made it to the end of the video. I graciously want to say thank you for your time. If you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe. I also have several social media accounts that you can follow me on, and there's even some alt tech exclusives. Link in the descriptions below. See you there.